Every single time you click that Buy Now button, you are kicking off this huge, invisible dance of logistics. But behind that super smooth experience is a massive challenge, a really high-stakes guessing game that can honestly make or break a company. And it's all about managing inventory. Get it right, it feels like magic. Get it wrong, well, that's a billion-dollar problem.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a huge number. 120 million yuan. That's how much money the manufacturing giant Foxconn had just tied up in extra inventory in only the first half of 2024. I mean, that's cash that could have been going into R&D, into new tech, but instead it's just sitting on shelves. This is not a small thing. It's a major drag on a company's ability to innovate.
And that really is the heart of it, right? This is an incredibly delicate balancing act. On one side, you've got companies like Foxconn with way too much stock. But on the other side, you have what happened to JD.com during a big shopping festival. They totally misjudged demand, ran out of their most popular stuff, and lost something like 8 million yuan in sales. Not to mention, customer complaints shot up by 25%. It is a total nightmare on both ends of the spectrum.
So how in the world do we fix this? All right, here's the plan for this explainer. We're going to break down this massive warehouse problem. We'll look at why the old ways just don't cut it anymore. Then we'll introduce a new kind of AI brain that's built to fix it. See the proof that it actually works, and finally, we'll talk about what all of this really means for you.
Okay, first up, let's really get our heads around the massive scale of this challenge. Because, this isn't your local corner store stockroom we're talking about anymore.
The world of modern e-commerce operates on a scale that is just mind-boggling. I mean, just try to picture a platform like JD.com processing over 35 million orders in a single day. You've got these wild, unpredictable spikes from viral trends, supply chains that literally stretch across the entire planet, and then there's us, the customers, who expect everything to show up, well, basically yesterday. Trying to manage all that chaos is the real problem here.
So for decades, we've had models to try and manage inventory. But like we just saw, the whole game has completely changed. Let's dig into why the old playbook just doesn't work anymore.
What's so fascinating here is the total mismatch. These traditional models, things like EOQ or ARIMA, they were built for a much simpler time. They basically assume that demand is going to be stable and predictable. But modern reality? It's the complete opposite. It's all about promotions, seasons, sudden shocks. These old models have these rigid, fixed rules, but today's market needs you to adapt in real time. It's a fundamental disconnect.
So, if the old tools are broken, what's the solution? Well, researchers have developed a new kind of AI, one that's designed from the ground up to handle the chaos of modern business. You can think of it as a brand new, way smarter brain for the warehouse.
Okay, it's called the Neuro-Fuzzy Dynamic Inventory Regulation Model, or NFDRM for short. Now, I know that sounds super complicated, but the main idea is actually pretty simple. It's a hybrid AI. It takes two really powerful technologies, a neural network and something called a fuzzy logic algorithm, and mashes them together to create something way more powerful than either one could be on its own.
And this is just a brilliant way to think about how it works. The NFDCRM basically has a two-part brain. First, you've got the forecaster. This is a neural network that just crunches through mountains of old data to predict what future demand is going to look like, and it does it with crazy accuracy. Then you have the strategist. This is the fuzzy logic part, and it takes that forecast and makes these flexible, almost human-like decisions. It weighs all the uncertainty and applies rules like, okay, if demand is predicted to be high and our stock is low, then we need to order more right now.
And this chart here shows how it all fits together. All the inputs, like sales data, feed into the forecaster, which spits out a prediction. That prediction then goes over to the strategist, which then recommends what to do with the inventory. It's a closed-loop system, which is just a fancy way of saying it's constantly learning and getting smarter.
Okay, so that all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But can this new AI brain actually deliver in the real world? Well, researchers put it to the test. They ran it against the old methods using 3 years of data from a major e-commerce company. Let's check out the results.
First up, inventory turnover rate. This is basically a score for how efficiently you're using your inventory. And for this, a higher number is way, way better. And just look at this. The NFDIRM model hits a rate of over 22, just blowing past the traditional models. That means less money is just sitting there tied up in stock, and products are moving way more efficiently.
Next up, the one that drives all of us crazy, the out-of-stock rate. Now here, a lower number is definitely what you want. The NFDIRM model gets it down to an incredibly low 2.77%.
Compare that to over 7% and almost 10% for the old models. This directly means fewer lost sales and, honestly, much happier customers.
And finally, the bottom line, the actual cost. I mean, just look at the difference here. By keeping costs so much lower, the NFDIRM model leads to real savings of over 100,000 yuan compared to the next best method. We're talking about massive, tangible savings. So, we know the model works, but why? Why is this hybrid approach so much better? Well, the researchers wanted to know that exact same thing, so they decided it was time to perform a little digital brain surgery to find out what was really going on.
Now this is where it gets really cool. They did something called an ablation analysis, which basically means they took the AI brain apart piece by piece. When they took out the strategist, that fuzzy logic part, the out-of-stock rate almost doubled to 5.1%. And when they took out the forecaster, the neural network part, it got even worse, jumping to almost 7%. This proves that the magic isn't in just one part alone. It's about how the two parts of the brain work together.
Okay, this research is amazing, but it's not just some academic exercise. This kind of technology has real-world effects that are going to change the way all of us shop. So let's bring it back to you.
So, why does any of this matter to you? Well, for starters, you'll see a lot fewer of those frustrating out-of-stock messages. Companies can react way faster, so that viral gadget you saw online is actually there to buy. More efficient companies could also lead to better prices for us. Beyond that, it means a stronger supply chain that doesn't just fall apart during a crisis, and a lot less waste from products that get made but never sold.
And this brings us to the big final question. Our world is only getting more complicated, right? And our expectations for getting things instantly are only getting higher. The warehouse of the future is going to need an incredible amount of intelligence just to keep up. So, the real question is, can AI like this evolve fast enough to be the brain that powers it all?